Devo Jones with the pick six, Keanu O'Neal with the hard hit, getting the ball back on offense. Watch Julio Jones keep moving the sticks. Calvin Ridley in for the score. We came back, we up 4, about to get in. Our victory stats, no coming back. We closing the door. ATL blackout. ATL blackout.
What's going on, football fans? We're back again with another live rendition of the pound for pound ATL. Obviously not the results we wanted, but hey, we're going to get into it. Jimmy, what you got for me?
You know what? They beat us, but I still don't like it. Again, it don't change. I don't like the black. I don't like gold. I don't like the way their stadium is shaped. I will never like the way their stadium is shaped. I don't care if they'll build a new stadium. I hate the new stadium that they build. But again, man, we're 0-2 against those guys. And guess what? That's in our rearview mirror. But again, we'll talk about it. We got a lot to talk about. Pound for pound family. I know y'all gonna be lighting up the chat, talking about what went wrong. There's a lot that went wrong, a lot that we can touch on, and we'll get into all that. But you know what, JR? Talk to these people, let these people know what's going on this week, man.
Yeah, man, boy, it has been an interesting week. Like, man, good Lord. Okay, I'm going to try to get focused here. I don't know if I was necessarily expecting a win, because we obviously can't figure out, like, what we're doing, like, what kind of team we actually are. But I will say this, the offense is really like starting to get on my nerves big time, and it's becoming harder and harder to defend certain people, on this offense, certain players, so to speak, certain, definitely coaches, right? I mean, Raheem Morris, the longer he keeps Dirk Kotter around, the less I want him to continue leading this team, right? Because if you can't, like, obviously identify the problem, and the problem being the fact that the last 3 games, your kicker has scored more points than your offense has, that's an issue, right? And if you can't identify what that issue is or what's holding it up, I mean, all of us here in Fanville, in Falcon Nation, we all see what the issue is. We all see that it's, the archaic play calling of Dirk Kotter that is consistently putting us behind, consistently, leading us to fall short. I mean, let's take the last play or the last series. You had the ball within 2 minutes. You're down by New Orleans. Mm-hmm. You're in the red zone. Mm-hmm. With a chance to take the lead. And this is where you should be pulling out all the stops. This is where you should be doing everything you can to get that ball into the end zone. And what do? You call a crap play to, Todd Gurley, who is coming off an injury, and you've mainly had him out there for protections, because you trust him for protections. So you call a run play when that hasn't been effective all game long against an extremely stout, Saints defensive line. Like, I mean, we already got Saints fans in here chirping, talking about Dirk Kutter's the best OC. I get it. Y'all funny.
Oh,
have at it, right? Y'all get it this year. Yeah. Y'all get to gloat, and that's fine. Whatever. As long as y'all, keep it somewhat respectful, got no problems with you, talking your trash. That's what a rivalry is about. Yeah. And y'all got it this year, flat out. But the play calling of Dirk Kotter is atrocious. It's ridiculous. I've been saying it for 2 years now, and I will continue to say it as long as he is employed and getting a check from Arthur Blank. Because it is it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. You have Julio Jones, you have Calvin Ridley, you have a Hayden Hurst who received a grand total of 4 targets. in this game. 4. And yet here we go with let's try this crap run play. So
right. And Jr. I think what's most frustrating about it is here we are. I mean, the season is almost over. We're kind of getting into that final stretch of the season, and we still don't know what type of team we have.
Oh,
period.
Yeah, it's
like the team we beat. You blow out the Oakland Raiders. Excuse me, the Las Vegas Raiders.
mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
Yeah, blow them out.
You blow those guys out, and you literally play the same game that you played against the Saints a couple weeks earlier, right? And I would say we scored a little bit more, but I think to your point, JR, it goes back to Dirk Kotter. You score, you have a piss poor performance against the Saints the first time.
Yeah.
You come back out 2 weeks later, and it's the same. Yeah. It's the same, and it's ugly in a different way, right? So I think to your point, we almost have to ask ourselves, man, as much as we talk about, will the Falcons draft a quarterback and all of that kind of stuff, and we really have to start asking these questions. Will Matt Ryan play the loyalty card and say, do I even still want to continue to be here? Because he is getting drilled.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think right now, he looks a little bit gun-shy from the standpoint that he doesn't know whether his offensive line is going to block for him or not. He's making plays. I think to your point, you talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Matt Ryan doing a lot of the scrambling is, you know what, screw it. The protection breaks down. I'll just give it my best shot. To the point that he was almost one of the best scrambling quarterbacks in the league at one point. So it's almost one of those points of like, JR, it's like, okay, really, where did we go here? Okay, because we got some real decisions. And I think pound for pound family, it'll continue, like I said, we got some, like I said, we got some serious stuff that we're going to have to come to. We're going to have that come to the Falcons moment, man, where we really figure out what the future of this franchise looks like, because we have way more questions right now than answers. And little
no doubt. It's like, it is very much, I know our opening salvo here, our opening rant seems, very, very down, obviously. We were a little bit optimistic coming off that Raiders win. Kinda. It was like almost fool's gold. Even if you look at the, 4 wins that Raheem Morris has been able to stack up, it's 4 wins against teams that are inconsistent of themselves, right? The Raiders, the Panthers, and so on and so forth. It's been a interesting set. Boy, we are having some fun technical stuff tonight, boy.
Yeah.
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 We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
It's been
okay.
It's been interesting. We're gonna power through it, just like the team. We are going to power through it, right? But anyway.
Right.
So, we got to.
Got to power through it.
So, as far as at this junction, I think we need a complete and total rebuild. Even if I know that you, technically speaking, probably got about 2 more years with Matt Ryan, but I see absolutely no reason to keep anybody on this coaching staff. I know I've seen people saying, like Ulbrich, you can keep him around as DC. I got nothing against Ulbrich, but at this point, I don't want anybody, coaching staff-wise, tied to any former regime. I need and want a clean slate.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at, JR. What are we going to get out of this going forward? And as we kind of looking at it right now in the present, as we speak right now on this live show, we ain't getting in out of this. If you really, really want a bright future, you're going to have to get a little change up in there. I mean, we all afraid of change a little bit at certain point, especially when it comes to our dirty birds. But these guys are going to have to go ahead and just go ahead and pack it up, man. And I do kind of believe that. I kind of believe that now. Definitely, if you can't beat the Saints, you're definitely going to have to pack it up.
Well, and here's the thing, though, because I think the biggest black eye out of all of this to me is that, we joked about the gadget quarterback. Me and Jimbo, we joked about it. Man, we can't lose to a gadget quarterback. We cannot lose to a gadget quarterback. Guess what we got? We lost to a gadget quarterback twice, right? And you know what? He played within the confines of his strengths. And you know what? That's why let's just talk about it right now, okay? Let's be real right now, because it ain't necessarily the fact that it's a downer show. I think this is kind of that collective. Okay, we argue the for and against certain scenarios, right? Because JR, Jimbo, I have to give y'all credit. Every week, every time I've wanted to just say, all right, Matt Ryan, see you, like peace out. Y'all have given me reason to say, well, you know what? This is our franchise guy. This is a guy that really bleeds black and red. He is like the fabric of our city. He's giving back to the city. This is a city that he'll always be connected to. But sometimes, man, when you watch football, and football is an ugly game sometimes. There are a lot of ugly plays in football.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people get excited about, the touchdowns and the big plays, but those ugly plays, right? So for as many yards, Matt Ryan can look on that list and say, well, hey, I'm 10th all time in passing. I'm up there with Dan Marino and all of these people. And that's great. It's humble, it's noble. If you're at the country club, it's like, yeah, I'm, this is what I've done in my career. But also, I tell you what keeps Matt Ryan up at night. That defensive end for the New Orleans Saints, Cameron Jordan.
Oh my God, yeah.
You think Caleb McGarry has nightmares of Cameron Jordan. Matt Ryan has got to be not too far behind because, I think it comes a time where you say, okay, how much is too much, right? And to be honest with you, that goes also along with Julio Jones. It's like, to be honest with you, and it's sad to say this, but we really think, okay, 10 years of Julio Jones, right? It's almost like buying a Ferrari, but you only drive it to the store. It's like, why do you have a Ferrari? You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
That is where we are right now as an organization, because Julio Jones is a Ferrari. You drive him, you put him on the highway, and you ride him till the gas goes out. But if you keep driving him to the store, he might have a little fender bender on the way to the store. He might, who knows what happens, right? But that's not what it was made for, right? So the problem is this: we are wasting good players in their career. We're putting them in positions that are not favorable to them. So I think, to your point, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. And we, as Falcons Nation, Dirty Bird Nation, maybe start preparing ourselves for the inevitable.
Right, like I said, money-wise and contract-wise, unless you get some ridiculous scenario of a team giving up and wanting to trade you for him. But money-wise, you got Matt Ryan for at least 2 more years, right? So now you have to look at what are those 2 years going to look like. Can you maximize what you have, right? And that's where it's going to be crucial with this next coaching regime that you bring in. Like, can you and are you willing to bring in somebody who is going to maximize the talent that we have? You have candidates out there, like, you have things are starting to emerge as the season is winding down. You have the rumors out there that they're interested in Nathaniel Hackett from Green Bay. You have rumors out there saying that they're interested in OC Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs. Right now, they should be interested in just about anybody. There shouldn't be nobody that you shouldn't be interested in unless he's directly involved in being around Dirk Kotter. Let me just put it that way. So I'll go ahead and take the name of Todd Monken off the list, right? Because I don't want anybody that has anything to do with Dirk Kotter. But what you need to do is you need to look at what times during Matt Ryan's career did he have the most success. And obviously the most success was his MVP season with, Kyle Shanahan. What type of offense did you run with Kyle Shanahan? You ran you ran an offense that was predicated on the run game and predicated on timing passes, and basically a West Coast offense, timing routes, things of that nature. You would take a shot down the field every now and again. The only time we're moving the ball right now with Dirk Kotter is when we take a shot down the field. Like, outside of that, you're not moving the ball. Okay, I'm sorry. Matt Ryan is not built that way. Never has been built that way. Never will be built that way. He is not a throw it out the stadium kind of quarterback. So,
I'm glad you brought up that Kyle Shanahan situation, because that goes ahead and solidify the fact that we got a sample size of Matt Ryan actually being an MVP with the correct offensive coordinator. Now, if you got a player out there on the field, the fans are quick to shoot him in the foot, get him out the time. He's the reason why we losing. Everybody ain't completely sold on the fact that they need to be pointing the finger at Dirk Kotter instead of the player that has created a MVP type of season with a different type of OC. Now, he didn't make Matt Ryan the best quarterback in the league because that running game was impeccable. He outdueled people, and he did he took what the
That's right.
defense gave us.
Nothing.
Dirk Cutter's not taking nothing. He had not even putting the defense in consideration. He's running the play that he feel that emotionally at the time he could either get the big play off of it. If he ain't trying to get no big play, he just running routes where it forces the quarterback to hold the ball too long, and then we just look like a mediocre offense, which what we are right now, and we just can't beat a soul. This man is solely by himself putting this organization in a hole, and ain't nobody doing nothing about it. It's just sickness, man.
And I think, to that point, that's a great point. One of the most frustrating things that I saw is that we used Todd Gurley as a decoy on Sunday, right? For the most part, he was off an injury. And to be honest with you, I think this whole season he's been a decoy, but that's a completely different conversation. And I'm not going to pile on Todd Gurley, but I would say that when the game almost end of the game, right? That 3rd and 2 where Gurley lost 10 yards, right? You utilize him as a decoy. And I think that has as much to do with Dirk Cutter's maybe faith in Todd Gurley. And don't get me wrong, Todd Gurley is a decent running back. He's not what he was, but he's a decent running back. So I think in a critical moment to kind of hedge all your bets on Todd Gurley in that moment, and he lost us 5 or 6 yards. Todd Gurley has lost us not 1 game, he's lost us 2 games as well. And you don't want a bona fide running back losing games for you. So one area where we know there will be change. If you're a betting man, if you're a Vegas man, you can take the Vegas odds that we will have another starting running back next year.
Yeah, you're not bringing him back in at all.
Because I think what's unfortunate about Todd Gurley is Todd Gurley still does have some NFL life in. And I was telling people and JR before the show, Pound for Pound Family, I was like, watch Todd Gurley goes to a team like the Cardinals or a team like that has, more of a kind of a spread type system that can just doesn't even really need a running back, and he holds and he has decent numbers. But again, that goes back to Dirk Kotter, his inability to really utilize Todd Gurley in ways that are effective for this team. Because to your point, when Matt Ryan was at his best, we led with the run game. We had mauling offensive linemen, timing plays. Sanu had a career year, like I said. I forgot who brought him up, but Taylor Gabriel. These guys had career years because all we did was play these guys' strength. We looked at what the defense gave us, and we made adjustments. This whole machismo, we're the Falcons, we can score on anybody, we can beat anybody, has us exactly where we are right here.
For sure. All right. Opening salvo done. Opening rant over. Let's jump into jump into this chat, see where our folks are at. I've been reading it, and as we've been talking, and they got some decent points. But Jaden Sheffer says, "What's up, guys? What's going on, Jaden?" We got some other Joe Jay? Houston, Ian Mills, and Nick Bagaloo all says, "What's going on?" Then we got Revolt Control Radio. It says, "I must give y'all credit for playing 2 solid games." This is one of our Saints fans here. He said he wanted blowout wins, but a win is a win. I mean, I'll give you credit in the sense of the defense played decent, I guess. You did finally force Taysom Hill to actually throw the ball, so there was that. But he did throw the ball. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna say this. Aints fans was scared in my section. That's from Mr. CDX for life. Yeah, I mean they're playing with house money right now. They're
That's right.
I would imagine that they're wanting Drew Brees to come back. Probably, I don't know. Then maybe they'll tell us. They're all loving Dirk Cutter's play calling. I would imagine that they are loving Dirk Cutter's play calling.
I bet they do.
Let's see. Ghost Pepper says Cutter's playbook is probably a good fit for Pop Warner football, and that could be pushing it. I don't know, man.
Yes,
even them 7 step drops in Pop Warner would probably get somebody killed. Anthony Wright.
Hold on. Ghost Pepper. I say Tecmo. You run Tecmo plays. Julio here.
Anthony Wright says, "What's up, Pound for Pound family? What's going on, Anthony? Glad you decided to join us." Falcons fan extraordinaire says, "Not just play calling, the scheme itself is broken, especially in the red zone. All the weapons and you can't score." Yeah, dead up. The scheme itself is broken. Let's see. 504
Right.
easy, and he's definitely a Saints fan. Logo on the Saints got you. At least you repping it. He said, "Can y'all do
Gotcha.
us a favor and beat the
Gotcha.
Bucks, dude? I don't even know." Like at this point,
You better not.
we can try.
Hey, man.
We're going to
I don't
attempt
know,
to maybe. Yeah.
We'll do our
C.
best.
Glenn says, "Yeah, we blew them out, but it wasn't the offense for the Raiders. It was the defense that exactly like I said last week. You take away
We said it.
Koo's
Said it.
points and a pick six, and our offense only scored 23 points. Yeah.
23 points.
And let's focus on that point for a second. And to be honest with you, this is just the way it works as Falcons fans. Watch, I believe we play a much better game
Oh, I'm sure.
against the
Yeah,
Bucks this
like
week.
just
Just
because,
because
right?
you look at the way because our defense is always one play away from just doing something insane. And I mean, to be honest with you, I got to take this just quick little second. Shout out AJ Terrell. We've got a cornerstone. I love to see his growth.
Looking good.
Yes,
Great
sir.
great pick on the way out,
Yep.
Thomas Dimitrov. That was my Thomas
Yep,
Dimitrov
that's it.
reference. Keep rolling, Jay.
Speed Falcon for life says Arthur Blank should fire Rich McKay too. Yeah, he can kick rocks as well. I don't know how much I want him involved in any coaching search or GM search for that matter.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Yeah.
Also added, none will be as creative as Shanahan, though only like 5 coaches in the league like that. No, you're right on that. Shanahan is a one of a kind, but I believe there are some coaches out there that could be as creative. And as you know, always I've been doing these coaching profiles that drop on Thursdays. You can check out there as far as like some of my thoughts on some potential coaches. Let's see here. I don't want to miss any. Ice Finesse. Now, Ice Finesse had made a couple statements, and he's talking about like a few of his earlier statements were saying if we want to replace Matt Ryan, that we need to be looking at something else. I kind of agree there, but at this point, I'm willing to do whatever to have a successful, team. Right.
We just need to score points. If you're a quarterback and you can put points on the board, I think for us, for years, and I mean this is 3 or 4 years in the making. It's like a slow burn. We have got to be able to put points in the end zone. My God, it would be great to support a team that when we get to the end zone, we know we have a chance to finish because we would have 3 or 4 Super Bowls by now if we took the red zone more serious. But anyway,
Ice Finesse says, picture it next year. New coach, new GM, fill out the roster on defense, and then 2 years from now, we get a decent QB in the first or second round, or in the second round, like a Jalen Hurts got drafted, and then you build your team around him. Boy, speaking of that for just a second, I mean, we wasn't that long ago where everybody was touting Carson Wentz as the next big thing.
No question about it.
And now he's getting benched for Jalen Hurts. So for all you people who are clamoring and wanting to draft this guy and that guy, it doesn't necessarily always work out. So I just ask for y'all to keep that in mind.
And they owe him a boatload of money. They can't do nothing with him.
Exactly. So let's see. Brandon Levy says, we have not had a running game since Shanny left. Exactly. Our running game has been, honestly, if you want to get real technical, we haven't had a solid run game since Michael Turner was our running back. And, he succeeded from malarkey to Kotter, and was able to succeed even with Kotter, which was amazing. Anyway, let's see, who is this? Chester saying, count your days, Dirk, count them. Yeah, exactly. As soon as this season's over.
I mean, on one finger. No. I'm on one finger. You stand.
I'm talking about 4 more games.
I'm giving him.
I wanted him gone this week. I kept refreshing my Twitter, like, is this guy fired yet? Is this guy fired yet? That's the kind of thing that makes me really hesitant on giving Raheem Morris a true shot, because with his blatant issues you have, you're not pulling the trigger on this guy, and you pulled the trigger on Ben Kutwicka after the one onside kick fiasco, and yet you letting Dirk Kotter continuously roll out this ridiculous offense. Steve Wynn says, I think the defense will get better, but if Raheem doesn't get rid of Dirk, don't get rid of Dirk, he won't have a job with the Falcons. Exactly. That's my deal here.
No
B Strong tipped us $2. Thank you there, B Strong. Your question was, who do you hope Arthur Blank hires as our new GM? Now, I saved that for now because I wanted to get into the GM talk for a minute, because it came out that the Falcons are interested in fan favorite Louis Riddick, and also are set to interview a top Saints personnel guy named and
don't do it.
also Rick Smith, the former Texans GM. So now we talk about, you say don't do it with the top Saints guy, but hold on now. We just sat here and watched for the past, couple years, the Saints defense that has been turned around, and they've had great draft after great draft. You got to give credit where credit's due, right? Don't like to, but you got to. And so, if this gentleman is competent in that aspect and has learned there, then I'm willing to give anybody a shot. But what I find interesting is, maybe y'all can explain it to me, because I've tried to figure it out and I just can't do it. What makes everybody feel like Louis Riddick is such a slam dunk?
And
Jimbo, you want to start?
I truly believe it's just two things, right?
Okay. I do like that. Game. I do like that aspect, right? That he's played the game.
And that's number one. That's number one. And what most of these GMs that like to get back, because he was a GM for Philadelphia, he was a GM for Washington. And what most of these GM ex-coaches like to do to get teams' attention to get back into the league is get a job on national television calling games, right? They want you to see what they still know and what they can say about today's game, because at the end game, they building their resume to get back in the position to be a coach or a GM again. So his knowledge so far when watching the game have been pinpoint. I can't stress that enough. He have showed you he still have the knowledge, and he still had the courage to say what he feel about a player, what he feel about a team, and what they need to do. So those two things kind of stick out. Now you almost got to look at the resume of players he picked up when he was with Washington and when he's with Philadelphia. Donovan McNabb. He went and picked up a TO for he went and got a Coach Reed to Philly. He drafted a Sean Taylor. So you have to look at that type of resume as well to go along with his playing ability. Not to mention he was a scout for years. He scouted players for years. So those are all good concrete things of what make him a mainstay, one of the hottest sorted out GMs in the NFL right now.
No, go ahead, Mike.
So no, I mean I was going to add on to what he said, but he touched on every point that I think is important. It's that three-headed monster, former player, has GM before, and has been a scout. Because here's the thing: the only thing Dimitrov did do was maybe have some scouting expertise, but not being able to play the game, not understanding what the chemistry looks like. I think has always bit us in the butt. Here's the thing: I think an emerging pass rusher will sit down with Louis Riddick, look him in the eye, talk to him, get a feel for him, get a feel for how he wants to run a team, and knows that this guy, one, can spot talent, but also has played this position, has been in this position that I've been in before. What it takes, what a culture takes, has been a part of championship teams. And ultimately, when you talk transformation, man, let me tell you something. It works the same way in the business world. When you talk transformation, you get the guys that have, they may not be specialized in that position, but they like to come in there and just they know what winning culture look like. And their job is to do one thing, create a winning culture. And what Raheem Morris is doing right now, while we talk about this, is he's almost like a consultant / preacher. Because what he's doing is, it seems like he's talking to these guys on the way out because it's kind of hurting to him. This is kind of one of them, it's kind of sad. Right. Because Raheem Morris said this when I heard him. He said, I'm trying to teach these guys what a winning culture is. So, first of all, this is a team that went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago now. He has to teach these guys what a winning culture is. Matthew Ryan is in that locker room. Julio Jones is in that locker room. Deion Jones is in that locker room. But he has to teach these guys what a winning culture is. For me, a lot of times, it comes back to those type of things. listen, your head coach shouldn't be teaching you when you get paid lots of money what the hell a winning culture is. So I know you asked one question, but listen, we got to hit that hire. This hire has to be a rock star. And if we do it, to be honest with you, I'm not buying all of that 2, 3, 4 years crap. This is a team next year that can still compete for a playoff. Look at you. So. Yeah. Drew Brees may be on his way out. Tom Brady, come on, 44 years old. Teddy Bridgewater. This is not a Falcons team that we can give up on yet. That's why the GM has got to be a rock solid hire. Head coach has got to be, like I said, it's got to be like Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire. They got to be alley-ooping and slam dunking, period.
And Lewis Riddick played for the Falcons.
Now that I knew. I knew Riddick had played for the Falcons 2 times. Like I knew that. I mean, I would just I'll flat out tell anybody, you know, and I don't admit to know everything. You know, I try to be as up to date as I can. I just haven't like watched a lot of Riddick as far as the shows that they have on ESPN. I've never been a big like ESPN guy myself. And so I just haven't heard Riddick talk, but you know, like you see it, you know, popping up on, you know, Twitter, on whatever, and you know, the sense that you get when people talk about Riddick is that, you know, he would just be a slam dunk, and I didn't know if it was a thing where, all right, I'm going to use this analogy and see if y'all you know, catch me or not. Sometimes things can garner a lot of hype, and it's hype for hype's sake. And like it happens a lot with like a movie or like entertainment in general, right? And you hear this, you know, like everybody's just absolutely raving about this movie or whatever, and you finally sit down and watch it, and you're like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get why this movie was so popular or whatever. And so so at this junction, I was just saying, you know, I didn't know if it was a deal where Riddick was just everybody who, whether they knew something about football or not, was like, oh, this guy needs to be a GM just because that's what everybody else is saying, you know. What's up, Jimmy?
And I want to come off of that really quick, and we're gonna have to do. Somebody put this in the chat, but you can build up this hype for Louis Riddick. But Louis Riddick, I think, was the team that built that super team in Philly that fell flat on their face. Now, if y'all can find out if he was the GM
if he was
during
part
that
of
time,
the personnel,
you can you right. Where he put all them Vince Youngs and that. I mean, I don't know if everybody remember that, but he had a loaded roster from top to bottom, and it fell smooth on his face. But now, if you want to look that up and you want to build some hype on him, and you look back and see if he's the one that did that.
I'll put it to you like this:
too many eggs in
the one question that I always ask in a situation like this, if this man is a shoe-in, and it's something I just want y'all to keep in mind, if this man's a shoe-in, why isn't he already in the position? I'm not I'm not saying that, you know,
when I built that team.
But it's
something that you should always ask, right? Regardless of what we're talking about.
Because you're right. You see Louis Riddick, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's the guy." And you see Eric Bieniemy, and it's like, okay, hold on, time out. Let's pause for a second, because let's think about this, right? Let's say, okay, let's be theoretical for a second. Okay, so let's say we do get a Louis Riddick, right? Who is his head coach? Because here's the thing: if you got an Eric Bieniemy, we still don't know. JR, you brought up a great point 3 weeks ago when you said Eric Bieniemy runs the plays that Andy Reid tells him with Patrick Mahomes as his quarterback. So, as his Patrick Mahomes quarterback. Like I said, you got, you know, we don't know ultimately what an Eric Bieniemy, let's say in theory, he's the leading guy. Let's say, you know, we're seeing Louis Riddick. All of that stuff is fool's gold because, you know, it goes back to Trey Lance. It goes back to the guy from North Dakota. Everybody's hyping up this guy from North Dakota State. Trey Lance. Trey Lance. They hyping him up. And again, he does good things. He's played well. But again, I mean, does Carson Wentz have you really wanting to get a guy from North Dakota State? Might have won it a couple years ago, right? So let's pump the brakes just a little bit, because it's an adrenaline thing, man. It's what's getting everybody going. Oh, Louis Riddick is freaking. Oh, he's interviewing. Now, don't get me wrong. I think he'll be a good hire. Like I said, Jimbo brought up 4 great points about what he will bring to our team. But I think that this is one thing that is, I would say, we may have a better chance to get this hire right, is that we're not hiring one of those darn consulting firms, an outside firm to come in and say, well, we'll bet to tell you what's good for culture. No, everybody's rolling their sleeves up, asking this guy, hey, what can you do
Yeah.
for this team with all of this talent? That
No.
to get us to
And
the next level?
that's the question that you have to ask yourself with any of this, whether it's a coach, whether it's GM, whatever. Is like, what makes you right for the position, right? We'll call out that What's Up Falcon. They dropped us $2 as well. Thank you, What's Up. And I also seem to remember that they posted a nice picture of a pound for pound shirt, that they bought. That was cool. We appreciate that as well. As always, those links are in the description down below if and you want to sport a cool logo. Anyway, back to the important talk of coaches and GMs and things of that nature. It's going to be interesting because whoever you bring in, coach-wise, GM-wise, or whatever, if I'm that coach, if I'm that GM, I want a written guarantee that my job is not tied to Matt Ryan. And that pains me to say that.
Ooh.
Okay? That pains me. J.R. Clark, the perpetual defender of Matt Ryan, it pains me to say that. I'm not saying that I don't think that you couldn't win or you couldn't be successful, because I think you can. But I would make sure, I would look at, if it was me and I'm sitting down as a GM and I'm sitting down as a coach, I would want to look at Arthur Blank in the face and say, look, I know and I realize that we can't walk away from him for 2 to 3 years. I get it. But I don't want my tenure tied to the success of Matt Ryan or not. Like, especially if you're bringing in somebody like an Eric Bieniemy, right? We're just going to use him as an example. He's the hottest name. I won't be doing a video on him for that reason, because I feel like everybody knows about Eric Bieniemy. So we're going to talk about him, right? So you bring in Eric Bieniemy, who's coming from Kansas City, who has a quarterback that can make literally any throw from almost any platform that he's throwing from. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter if it's sidearm, underhanded, behind his back, over his head, through his legs. It doesn't matter, right? And that right there makes an offensive coordinator's job 10 times easier. 10 times. Okay? Because you can know that you can call just about anything, and if everything absolutely breaks down, he can probably also scramble for it. Okay? Pat Mahomes is a rare breed. Okay? But what you're getting in, or what you're seeing on a day in and day out basis in college, is more guys who play like Pat Mahomes. Okay? So if I made my success with a guy like Pat Mahomes, I would make sure that my new boss understands that, look, y'all got to let me get my guy in here before you really, I'm going to do everything I can to win with what we got, because I understand the business of the situation. I understand, like, you can't be a coach and not understand that concepts, right? You can barely be a fan of the professional league and not understand those concepts. So I would just, that would be my only stipulation, right? Is give me a chance to get my guy in here. I'll see what I can do with what you got, but give me a chance to do to get my guy or my players in here. Everybody's touting about, guys like Joe Brady or whatever. At this junction, the one coach I could say that has shown the propensity to be able to succeed, not regardless, but be able to mold what he has, is the gentleman out there in Buffalo, the Brian DeBall. But I don't know. Like I said, that's who I might do my show on this week. I'm not 100% sure yet. But anyway, that's my thoughts there. As far as like whoever you bring in, those are my stipulations. If I'm, and same thing with the GM. If I'm walking into this joker, looking at the cap situation, going, okay, if I'm Louis Riddick and I'm sitting down at the table, and I'm like, all right, first of all, y'all gonna have to give me a cap guy. I don't know if Louis Riddick's a cap guy or not. Some guys, I feel like that's where Dimitrov shined, was in the cap situation. He never really did put us in cap hell.
He did.
While being able to, keep our stars and keep them happy. He may not have been the best in the talent scouting department, but I feel like he was pretty good in the cap department. So if I'm Louis Riddick and my strong suits are the, player profile or scouting positions. That's what I'm really bringing to the table. I would tell them, like, all right, look, I understand the cap situation is crap, like because of the pandemic and everything else. I understand that it is absolute junk. So for a little while, you can't hold that against me, or not can't. I would make sure that I have the flexibility there to at least survive the. Basically, what I'm saying is, like, I want a chance to have my own quarterback, because that's what makes or breaks any NFL team.
No question about it. No question about it.
So, I'm gonna jump into. Y'all got something to say? Boy, I rolled there for a minute. I sat there and looked, and I said, "Wait a minute, I was talking way too long."
You had all good points. No, you had all good points though.
But see, my thing about it highlights what's serious in this organization right now. Because to be honest with you, like I said, we love chat, and again, chat is what keeps this show moving and grooving.
Right.
But let me tell you something. When we look at what is important for the future of this franchise and this organization, what we're touching on right now is mission absolute critical. If we ruin this, we're setting ourselves up. Now, here's the thing. For a lot of us, when we were kids, the Saints were just not just trash. I mean, the Saints were just like, yes, we play the Saints this week. When I was a kid, every time we played the Saints, it was like, oh, we know we're about to kill these guys. If we don't get this right, the problem is it'll look a lot uglier, because we have a former MVP who could just look really bad on his way out. You don't want that. You don't want guys that are 10th in all time in passing, those kind of stats, all of that kind of stuff, just looking horrid on the way out. Definitely don't want to do that with a Julio Jones. That's one of the greatest receivers that ever played this game. So let's be serious about, just showing some dignity and honor to these guys' careers, while they still have a Falcons jersey on, which we don't know how much longer that is. But I don't know.
And I agree. And I like the point that you brought up early in the show, where whoever coming in here, they still got a playoff style built team that they can possibly make the playoff with. It's not going to be dead to the nail, but some of this cap stuff is going to get shaved. There's no question about that. But you still will have a core to help you get ready to start building what you think you're going to have after, your Julio Jones, your Matt Ryans and stuff do the part.
For sure, yeah. I mean, you have young-ish pieces that you can build around, especially on the defensive side.
Yeah.
With Deion Jones, with the emergence of Foye Oluokun, if he can keep it going.
Right.
Grady Jarrett is an underrated defensive tackle who I think right now is being asked to do more than needed. I don't know.
Way too much.
Obviously, we need to fix the pass rush situation. We haven't had a consistent pass rush since the John Abraham left. But then you have AJ Terrell who is looking to be rock solid and really looking to prove all the doubters wrong. And I'm enjoying watching him play. You get some consistent safety play to go along with him, and I'm not even talking about like star-studded. I'm just talking about consistent. And
And hold on one moment, because guess what? We almost went out the whole show and we ain't mentioned it yet. But hey, and if I look at the future, Reginald Oliver, you better be listening. You better be coming. But you get another mention. It's 3 straight weeks on the show.
Oh my God! Yeah.
So look, you go hard on us when we go on Isaiah Oliver. You make your own videos of Isaiah Oliver to try to prove us wrong. But look, let me tell you something. Isaiah Oliver, potentially, if he continues to keep this rolling, has a place on this Atlanta Falcons team as we move in a dime nickel capacity. Now listen, I know you're thinking he could be an NFL shutdown corner. That's your opinion. But reality says, as a dime guy and a nickel guy,
look,
doing his thing.
Yeah,
you're doing your thing.
I'll put it to you like this: with Oliver's emergence as a dime nickel corner, he's building some confidence there. Like he could easily build that confidence and transition back into an outside corner, potentially under another regime. Say you bring somebody in here like a Leslie Frazier, not necessarily, a beast of a head coaching hire, so to speak, but you look at what he's done with the Bills defense. Okay.
Man.
Between him and Sean McDermott gives Leslie Frazier a ton of credit. Okay, and you look at what he's done with Tre'Davious White up there, and probably made him one of the best corners in the league right now. Period. And so, yeah, you bring somebody like him, with the emergence of AJ Terrell and possibly what he can do with an Isaiah Oliver, that can be an interesting hire, provided that he brings with him an innovative offensive coordinator. So let's get back into chat. We've had a lot to talk about tonight. Apparently, a lot more than we thought, boy. When we come into this, I was like, well, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, boy, I hope chat goes off because, and here I am running my mouth like an idiot. Anyway, all right. We're gonna scroll back up a little ways. So if I missed your points, I'm sorry. We're gonna start with Jerry Dandridge Falcon. This season was crazy for us. So much crap that wasn't supposed to happen happened. Yeah, it was a crazy season. That much is for sure. Brandon Levy says Mike makes some good points. The consulting recommended hiring Dan Quinn. yeah, the consulting. Yeah, exactly. It didn't do you no favors. David M says, you and I both are Matt guys. The new regime should be able to do whatever they want. Yeah, they should. They shouldn't be tied to not at this stage in Matt Ryan's career, as much as I hate to say it. Space Ranger Joe says true. Matt Ryan deserves better. Oh, well, he deserves the paychecks that he's getting, so I'll call that better. Right? He ain't hurting in that aspect. C. Glenn says, got to get a coaching staff that the coordinators aren't going to leave after getting attention for success. Yeah, no, that's the Panthers may be dealing with that right there with that Joe Brady. But that's the price you pay, right? I mean, I still believe in my heart that had Shanahan stayed into 17, it would have been we probably could have won the Super Bowl, but. Let's see. Ice Finesse says our new head coach is going to have a proven quarterback for 2 years, and then can rebuild this team he wants in the meantime. Right, exactly, and that's the point. But I would just make sure that, dadgummit, don't nail me to the wall until I can get my own guy in here. Let's see. 405 Easy says Panthers are doing major overhaul right now, and those fools believe they should have been in the playoffs this year. This is crazy. I think he was talking about because he's our Saints fan right now in here, and I think he was talking about your comment on the division as a whole, like that we could just easily be right back in it. Let's see. CDX for life for calling Saints corners or bums. I think they got into an argument about holding our receivers.
They did a lot of holding now. Good God Almighty.
Steve Wynn says, if we are going to have a subpar O-line, we have to have a scrambling QB, and I'm not saying that to take anything away from Matt Ryan. But see, that's a double-edged sword there in a sense, because look at what happens up in Seattle. They haven't invested in their O-line because of Russell Wilson, and, if they started off the season looking real good, but they just lost it to the Giants, I think. So, it's coming back big time.
Right about now.
Let's see. Okay, Brandon C. Levy says they have to get this GM and HC hire right. We haven't had a good coach since Dan Reeves and Shanahan. Y'all have to inform me about the Dan Reeves days.
Wait a minute. So
right, he was the most consistent winning coach that we've ever had. But yeah, okay. Everybody likes to crap on Mike Smith but the first 4 years of his tenure, holy crap, had more success than they'd ever had.
Right.
So
he dug us out of hole. Right. That's for sure.
Let's see. Let's see. CDX. No. We're going. Speed Falcon says Rich McKay should not hire another TD. If he does, then fire him. I'll be surprised. I mean, I'm really curious about Rich McKay and what his role is. Right. Is he just basically Arthur Blank's mouthpiece nowadays? Is that what he is? Is he in the construction world, right? Which is the world that I reside in. In the construction world, you have the owner of the building, right, hires the general contractor to build the building. General contractor then hires everybody else, right? Generally speaking, the owner doesn't come to the meetings. He sends what we call the owner's rep to the meetings, okay? So is Rich McKay the owner's rep now? Did Arthur Blank realize that his Falcons for life statements was costing him too much money, and he finally stepped back and and let somebody who has GM experience and the amount of NFL experience that Rich McKay has, basically take over his organization? Is that what it is?
And because he put him in charge of that stadium, he put him over there to help with the soccer team, and then he brought him back. So that tells me he just in that Arthur Blank circle, that Arthur Blank's organization, just right there, that mouthpiece, where he can just toss him around in any of his ventures wherever he feels like they need help. So he can easily during the offseason be pulled up out of there and be set to do something else besides being with the Atlanta Falcons organization. Once they get a GM hired, he can easily just be snatched up out of there again, like he has been done in the past.
Man, fellas, y'all hit that because I was just thinking about that. I was thinking about it from like, you know what? That's Arthur Blank's project manager, to be honest with you.
Pretty much.
And he manages all of Arthur Blank's projects. Now, the one thing that I would say is that Rich McKay is, I would say in the NFL terms, in a league of big fish, he probably is one of the fattest fish because he's been around for a long time. He's been getting it for a long time, right? I think what is more likely is does Rich McKay retire, or is this kind of a little bit too much for him? Because this is a lot of change for him as well. But I think that is probably one of the most important things that we probably need to do a show on that after the season is that what is Rich McKay's role in this organization going forward? That's a whole show in itself because
it is.
To your point, if I'm Louis Riddick, I'm looking around and I'm thinking, the Falcons and it's all good. And, ESPN and everybody's all excited about it. But I might have one conversation with Rich McKay and I might say, oh, okay. I see why the culture is the way it is. And let me go over here and let me go. Yeah. So,
that's but
anyway,
unfortunately, these are questions that we will never have actual answers to because it doesn't behoove the team. It doesn't do anything for the team to, lay all that out. Right. So we just have to sit here and pontificate, to use a $5 word, on what on what Rich McKay's actual role is on this team. Let's see. David M says, Sean Gomes, you and I are on the same page with his organization. All right, back up to Sean Gomes' comment. This is what happens when you just pick a comment and read it. Now we have to backtrack. All right, Sean Gomes says, we need to talk about trading Julio. I know y'all don't want to hear it. Look, at this point, I love Julio Jones. He's probably the only other player that I would get a jersey of. But you know what? If you can give me some good draft capital and take his money, I'd do it right now.
That's why I put in the chat. It's not out the question, Sean. Don't think that we don't want to hear that, because at this point, where we at right now as an organization, we got to be ready to accept just about anything right about now to win a ball.
Look at it like this.
Exactly.
Can you imagine being a Panthers fan when they let Cam Newton walk or cut him or whatever?
Right.
I don't know the details of his like contracts, and somebody y'all in the chat might know. But could you imagine being a Panthers fan at that junction going, man, we just let a former MVP walk out the door. And now you go and look at Panthers message boards and stuff like that. They feel real confident about, the team that they have. They may not be getting the results, but they feel confident about the direction that the team is heading.
Right.
I knew in 2008 when, they drafted Matt Ryan and he turned out to actually be, a solid, really good quarterback, right? I knew that one day I was going to have to see him leave, right? See him retire. And I thought to myself, man, that day is going to, it's going to be a tough day, right? It's going to be a rough day in a sense of, because now you bring in the unknown. And as you were saying earlier, Jimmy, we always fear the unknown and, fear what could be or what's going to be. We have hope, every off season brings the whole hope springs eternal about, we're going to do good this year, kind of thing. But if trading to Julio Jones, helps this team, that's what we should be wanting. That's what we should be championing. We
Right.
should be championing
And-
this team, you know?
And Matt Ryan, I mean to say Julio Jones has showed some class by already grooming
Of course.
his replacement. If you don't think Kevin really is ready to step into a Julio Jones role, you probably ain't been watching the games here lately. So Julio has prepared himself to walk away from an organization that have did him nothing but right. He did nothing but right for them. He has got a replacement ready for the Atlanta Falcons when they do decide to
Right.
they
I
do
mean,
decide to part ways. I do believe he has.
And go back to my comment I made earlier. Like I said, to be honest with you, we know Julio is a Ferrari. And to be honest with you, you put a Ferrari on the interstate. You do not drive him to the store back and forth. You got to use it for what it's utilized for. I don't even think that we are. Let me not say that because, I may take a lot of flack in this chat that like we don't use Julio Jones the right way. We use Julio Jones the best way that we can, to be honest with you. But I think at this point in his career, a guy that's that good, and I'm talking about like I can breathe and say, I'm not saying Julio is not, honestly, pound for pound better than Jerry Rice, but I think Julio is in that class of just first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best.
Oh, yeah.
You owe it to him to do what's best for him. And to be honest with you, Julio has kind of outgrown where we are right now. Julio has outgrown the Atlanta Falcons. He needs to be with somebody that, to be honest with you, they got it figured out. They got a culture. You put Julio in and let Julio do what Julio does. And you salute him. Because you know why? Randy Moss did the same damn thing. To be honest with you, Randy Moss with the Vikings, you never thought Randy Moss would lead the Vikings and all that kind of stuff. But Randy Moss went to the Patriots. He had a good career. And I mean, to be honest with you, people in Minnesota, they still love Randy Moss.
For sure.
They still love Julio Jones.
I mean, look, even Jerry Rice finished his career not with the 49ers. So look, by no means do I want to trade Julio Jones. And let him be a Falcons for life, whatever. None of that bothers me.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, if somebody comes at me with a realistic offer, I'm hearing it. I ain't, I'm not just going to cut Julio Jones for cut's sake.
No.
That ain't going to happen, right? But,
No,
but if somebody comes at me with a realistic offer and I can then use that realistic offer to make my team better, then as an organization, you have to listen to it. Let's see. Speed Falcon said Calvin Ridley isn't Julio. No, he's not Julio. Ain't nobody Julio.
No, he's not.
That man is what? Like 6'3", 6'4", 240, can run like a daggum gazelle. I mean, he's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody Julio, right?
Yeah, don't get my words twisted up now, chat. Don't
Calvin
get the words
Ridley
twisted.
was drafted in the first round and can easily be a number one wide receiver. And I think that was the point that you were making. And let's see. Antoine Wartime TV says the Jet's going to be a Falcon for life. We're going to see. I mean, like I said, I don't see him going anywhere because what I feel like is a reasonable offer for Julio Jones, I don't think anybody's going to be willing to give up, right? So...
Right, and selfishly, like you said, selfishly, hey, Antoine, selfishly, if he a Falcons for life,
I ain't gonna hate.
We salute him. I mean, honestly, like I told you, it's two things. Julio, first ballot Hall of Famer, and that, look at this team. If your last name is Jones, you notice we don't spend a lot of time with guys on this team with last name Jones, Julio Jones. If your last name Jones on this team, we want you to be a Falcon for life.
Let's see. Says Debo Williams says I wouldn't take nothing less than a second round pick. Yeah, no, it'd have to be something like that. Second round, more, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
But, well, shoot, gentlemen, we have bumped dead up on an hour.
Oh, wow.
No,
we did.
we have 59 minutes and 45 seconds and climbing.
Rolling like a big shot.
I'll give the chat, another minute or so if y'all want to get some more comments in there. I'm only slowing it down because the chat itself is slowed down. C. Glenn says Ryan needs defense Ryan needs the defense looking at Julio. Yeah, I mean, especially like right now with a lack of creativity from the offensive coordinator, yeah, you can definitely tell that the offense comes to a screeching halt when Julio is not on the field, flat out. Antoine Wartime says we are going to win the Super Bowl with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones in the next 2 years. Hopefully next year. That'd be great. That would absolutely be great. if that happened. Yeah.
That's what we want. That's what we want,
Yeah,
Antoine.
no,
Don't
heck
get
no.
it
I want
twisted.
them all to get it. I want them all to get that ring.
Yeah.
Hey, Antoine, you in my head. You don't see what I pray about at night, but you close.
Speed Falcon says, let's keep Julio and Matt Ryan. They are both Hall of Famers. We can still win with these guys. No, we can. We're just going to have some creativity around it. That much is for sure. David M. says the Falcons also need to get back to zone blocking. They don't have the powerful. See, that's right there. He's hitting on something that I had a fear of when you went to zone blocking to begin with. It's hard to switch back off of zone blocking once you go because of the type of offensive lineman that you have to get to make it work.
Absolutely.
CDX for Life says, good show, fellas. Keep the content coming. Thank you, CDX. Appreciate that. Y'all, like I said, I'm going to try to have a coach's show out on Thursday. We're going to see how that goes, and y'all should enjoy this one. But as always, Falcons fans, y'all can catch me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Jimmy.
Anthony Ramos, welcome, your new fan.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. You can catch me on Twitter at Jimmy Obama, JIMMYAOBAMA, at Jimmy Obama on Twitter. Mike.
And listen, man, you catch your boy always at Mike Dub Mike MIKE_DUB on Twitter. Follow back. Always. Man.
Apparently, Anthony Romo says, new fan here, please stop cutting off guy in glasses. Well, there's two guy in glasses. I have glasses and Mike has in glasses.
Yeah.
But if I'm cutting, if it's me cutting Mike off, Mike, just tell me to shut up, man.
You both of us. We both nervous. We love what we do, man. It's all love.
That's
we
it.
cut each other off as
all right, gentlemen.
So
hey, look, y'all have a great night, fans. Chat room, I appreciate y'all being here with us. And as always, Falcons fans, rise up. Yep.
Rise up.